All right, so have you heard of this company, Hugging Face? It sounds more like a band name than a tech company.
Yeah, it does have a pretty catchy name.
But it's a big deal in the AI world.
That's true. It's making a lot of waves.
So for those who haven't heard of it, Hugging Face is an AI company. They're focused on open source tools and resources for machine learning.
Yeah, think of them as like providing the building blocks for AI, not necessarily building the robots themselves.
Okay, that's a good analogy. So they're valued at a whopping $4.5 billion, which is pretty impressive for a company that's relatively new to the scene.
It is. And that speaks to the growing importance of AI and the role they're playing in making it more accessible.
So let's break down why they're so valuable. Let's start with this whole open source thing. What does that even mean, and why is it such a big deal in the AI world?
Okay, so open source basically means that the code behind these powerful AI tools is freely available for anyone to use, modify, and share.
So it's like giving away the secret recipe.
Kind of, yeah. It's like saying, here are the tools we've developed, go ahead and use them, build upon them, and share your improvements with the community.
And why is that such a game changer?
Well, for one, it democratizes AI, making it accessible to researchers, startups, even individuals who might not have the resources to develop these tools from scratch.
So instead of having to reinvent the wheel every time, you can just grab a pre-built engine and customize it for your needs.
Exactly.
I can see how that would speed things up considerably. So Hugging Face is known for something called the Transformers Library. What exactly are transformers?
Okay, so transformers are a type of machine learning model that have been revolutionary in how we deal with language. They're particularly good at understanding and generating human-like text.
So they're like super-powered language processors.
You could say that. Yeah, the Transformers library is basically a collection of these pre-trained models that are ready to use for all sorts of language tasks.
Okay, so for someone like me who's not a coder, can you give me a real-world example of how these transformers are being used?
Sure, imagine you're a company and you want to build a chatbot for your website to handle customer inquiries.
Like those little pop-up windows that ask if you need help?
Yeah, exactly. Instead of spending months training a model from scratch, you could go to the Transformers library, pick a pre-trained model that's good at conversation, and fine-tune it to match your brand and your specific needs.
So it's like having a head start in a race.
Right. It saves you a ton of time and effort.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So we've talked about open source and the Transformers library. What else makes Hugging Face so valuable? We're talking about a multi-billion-dollar valuation here.
Right. Well, one of the key reasons is their platform called the Hugging Face Hub.
Okay, and what's so special about that?
It's like a giant collaborative space where developers and researchers from all over the world can share their AI models, data sets, and collaborate on projects. Think of it like GitHub, but specifically for AI.
So it's a breeding ground for AI innovation.
Absolutely. The Hugging Face Hub hosts over 1 million models covering everything from language translation to image recognition to music generation, and that number's growing all the time.
Wow, 1 million models.
Yeah.
That's a lot of brain power in one place. And it seems like they're not stopping at just providing tools and a platform. They also acquired a company called Gradio, which focuses on building user interfaces for AI models.
Yeah.
Why was that move so significant?
Well, it's all about making AI even more accessible.
Okay, but how so?
Gradio allows developers to easily create user-friendly interfaces for their models. So instead of just having a bunch of code, you can have a sleek web application where people can interact with the AI seamlessly.
So they're bridging the gap between the complex world of AI and the everyday user.
Right. Think about it this way. You might have built this incredible AI model that can generate stunning photorealistic images from text descriptions.
Like you type in a cat wearing a hat riding a bicycle, and it creates that image.
That's it. But if it's just a bunch of code, it's not very practical for most people to use. Gradio lets you build a simple interface where anyone can type in a description and boom, the model generates the image.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So they're making AI both powerful and user-friendly. And then there's this thing called the Inference API I've heard about. Is that another piece of this puzzle when it comes to making AI more accessible?
It definitely is. One of the biggest challenges with these powerful AI models is that they require a lot of computing power, which can be expensive and inaccessible for many.
Especially for smaller companies or individuals.
Exactly. The Inference API lets you basically outsource the heavy lifting to Hugging Face. You send your data to their servers, they run the model, and you get the results back.
So instead of needing your own supercomputer, you can tap into Hugging Face's resources to run these complex models.
Exactly. It's a game changer for smaller companies, researchers, and individuals who don't have the resources to invest in all that expensive hardware.
So it sounds like Hugging Face is really breaking down barriers and making AI more accessible to a wider range of people.
hmm
But who's actually using Hugging Face? Is it just a playground for tech-savvy developers, or is there a wider reach?
Actually, Hugging Face has a remarkably diverse user base. You've got individual researchers pushing the boundaries of AI. You've got large corporations like Google and Microsoft integrating their tools into their products. It really is a testament to the power of their platform and the open source approach.
It seems like they've hit a sweet spot by making AI both powerful and widely accessible. But what about the financial side of things? We know they're valued at billions of dollars, but what convinced investors to pour so much money into Hugging Face?
Well, investors see Hugging Face as a cornerstone of the future of AI. They're not just building tools, they're fostering a community, shaping standards, and essentially building an entire ecosystem around AI development.
So they're not just playing the game, they're changing the rules of the game.
You could say that that's why giants like Google, Amazon, and Salesforce are lining up to invest. They recognize that Hugging Face is playing a pivotal role in shaping the future of how we build and interact with AI.
This has been an incredible deep dive so far, and I'm eager to learn more about how this all plays out in the real world.
Let's get into some fascinating examples of how Hugging Face is being used across different industries.
I'm all ears, Face.
So let's jump into how Hugging Face is actually being used out there in the real world.
Yeah, let's get specific.
One area where it's having a big impact is in healthcare.
Healthcare. I wouldn't have thought of that right away.
It's true, but it's going way beyond just, diagnostics.
Really?
Yeah, researchers are using Hugging Face to analyze medical images, predict patient outcomes, and even speed up drug discovery.
Okay, now those are some serious applications.
Right.
Give me an example, though. I need help picturing how this actually works in practice.
Okay, sure. Let's say a team of researchers is trying to develop a new treatment for a disease. They can use Hugging Face's Transformers library to analyze tons of medical literature and data from clinical trials
You can do what exactly?
to identify patterns and potential drug candidates, basically.
No, so it's like helping them sift through mountains of information to find those hidden gems.
Right, and that can speed up the research process significantly.
That's incredible. It's like Hugging Face is helping to unlock insights that would just be impossible for humans to find on their own.
It's true, the volume of data is just overwhelming.
So it's not just about research, though, right?
Nope. Hugging Face is also being used to improve patient care directly.
Like how?
Well, hospitals are using AI-powered chatbots built with Hugging Face tools to answer patient questions, schedule appointments, even provide basic medical advice.
Oh, wow. So kind of taking over some of those administrative tasks.
Yeah, basically. It frees up healthcare professionals to focus on the more complex cases.
That makes a lot of sense, leading to better patient experiences and a more efficient system overall.
Exactly.
It's really fascinating how AI is becoming a part of so many different fields. We've talked about healthcare, but what about other areas like finance or marketing?
Oh, Hugging Face is definitely making waves there too.
Okay, tell me more.
In finance, they're using it to detect fraud, analyze market trends, and even provide personalized financial advice.
I can see how AI would be really valuable in finance, being able to analyze all that data and spot those tiny little details that humans might miss.
It's all about making more informed decisions and managing risk effectively.
And what about marketing?
Well, in marketing, Hugging Face is being used to personalize customer experiences, optimize ad campaigns, and even generate marketing copy.
So it's like helping marketers create content that really resonates with people.
Exactly. It's all about understanding customer behavior and preferences on a deeper level.
This all sounds incredibly promising. But are there any downsides to this open source approach to AI? Are there any challenges or risks that we should be thinking about?
That's a great question, and it's an important one. While open source has tons of benefits like accessibility and collaboration, there are ethical considerations that come with making powerful AI tools so widely available.
I can see that. What are some of the specific concerns that people have raised?
Well, one of the biggest concerns is the potential for bias in AI models.
Right, because if the data used to train these models contains biases, then those biases could end up being reflected in the AI's decisions.
Exactly. And that could lead to unfair or discriminatory outcomes.
So it's really important to make sure that these AI systems are being developed and used responsibly.
Absolutely. There's a growing movement within the AI community to develop ethical guidelines and best practices for responsible AI development, and Hugging Face is actually very actively involved in those conversations.
That's good to hear. It's not just about building cool technology, it's also about thinking about the societal impact.
It's about building a future where AI benefits everyone.
Are there any other potential risks or challenges that we should be aware of?
Well, another concern is the potential for misuse of these AI tools, right? For example, someone with bad intentions could use Hugging Face's technology to create deepfakes or spread misinformation.
That's a scary thought.
It is. It's like a double-edged sword. The same technology that can be used for good can also be exploited for harmful purposes.
So what can we do about that?
Well, the key is to have safeguards in place and to encourage a culture of responsibility among everyone involved in AI development and use.
So it sounds like a lot of work is being done to address these issues, but there's still more to be done as AI continues to evolve.
Definitely. It's an ongoing conversation and something we need to stay focused on.
So where does Hugging Face go from here? They've already accomplished so much. What's next for them?
Well, Hugging Face is always pushing the limits. They're investing heavily in research and development, exploring new frontiers in AI like generative models and reinforcement learning. They're also expanding their platform to support new types of data and tasks.
So it sounds like they're on a mission to empower anyone to build amazing things with AI in
That's a great way to
the
put it.
future. What's next for them?
Well, I think they're really well positioned to remain a leader in the AI space. They have a great community, they're committed to open source, and they have a strong track record of innovation. I wouldn't be surprised to see them expand their platform to support even more types of data and tasks, making AI even more accessible and powerful.
So basically, you're just getting started.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's an exciting time to be following this company.
It really is. Well, this deep dive has been incredibly insightful. I've learned so much about Hugging Face and the impact they're having on AI and on the world in general.
It's been a pleasure discussing it with you.
And to all our listeners out there, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Hugging Face. We'll be back again tomorrow with a brand new topic and another fascinating conversation about the future of technology. So until then, stay curious and keep exploring.